Hello and welcome to episode 32 of the Dental Realist Podcast. I'm Dr. Ryder Waldron, and as usual, I'm joined by Dr. Marcus D. Neff and Dr. Troy Stevens. Troy, how's it going tonight?
Doing really well. Had a great day of dentistry. Actually, it's been a really good week, Monday, Tuesday here, and I'm telling you, I'm looking forward to Wednesday and Thursday, too.
I know you are, and hopefully Friday and Saturday.
That would be sweet.
And Marcus, with this being episode 32, we know you're a huge Karl Malone fan, as Troy and I are also. So can you give us your favorite Karl Malone highlight of all time?
I loved it when Jordan stole the ball. Smacked that out of his hand.
No, Marcus, that's...
I'm looking forward to episode 33, the Larry Bird episode.
The Larry Bird, where it retires early. Can't really get across the finish line.
Only because he sacrificed so much of his body. He had nothing left.
Wow.
He couldn't go chasing another title in L.A.
Oh, I can't really argue with that one. Carl kind of did that, but you know, what can I say?
And
He's
Troy,
the greatest
where's your NBA analysis on all this?
I always have two words when it comes to the NBA that I text to these guys when they ask me about it. I say, "Who cares?" I don't care about the NBA.
Yeah, Marcus and I are pretty big NBA fans. Marcus doesn't have a hometown team. Well, he doesn't root for his hometown team, the Utah Jazz, like I do. He's more of a Celtics fan. But Troy, he has no allegiance at all, it seems like, lately.
No, I've kind of gone the way of the anti-sports thing. I just have not followed it. I don't know. Just no interest.
Right. Yeah. Well, guys, how's your week of dentistry been so far?
Well, I've had one day so far.
That's right.
Last time I worked was Wednesday of last week, and it's Tuesday today, so...
Wow.
I've enjoyed those days off, for sure.
Yeah, I bet you have. And Troy, you're looking forward to about 5 more days this week of dentistry. We know that.
Yeah, my business partner's gone this week, so I'm holding down the fort, and it's always a joy to have, emergencies coming out of our ears when no one is there, no time to do it.
Yeah.
It seems like it never happens when there's 2 of us there. It only happens when there's 1. Just like get overwhelmed,
It is totally weird how that happens. When you have a slow week, that's not when the emergencies call. When every day is packed full, that's when they start calling with broken teeth and toothaches and things like that. So, yeah.
Yep.
Good.
Yep.
Marcus, were you going to say something?
No, I was going to ask how your week was, Ryder.
Oh,
yeah,
my week,
you're kind of dodging the question yourself there, aren't you?
Sorry. Well, I'm actually trying to hire another hygienist. One of my hygienists is left to have a baby. My other hygienist is moving. So yeah, I'm trying to hire a new hygienist. I've already hired one. I'm hiring another one, and it is stressful when you have to do these working interviews and train them how to do everything for like 1 day of work or half a day of work, and you don't know if they're going to really work out in your office. I don't know. What do you guys look for when you're trying to hire somebody? Do you base it mostly on like the personality of the person, or do you try to really test their skills and knowledge? What seems more important to you guys?
Oh man, I think personality for me is probably more important, but at the same time, I mean, you can't have somebody that comes in that is completely like clueless, that doesn't have the skills to do the job, but boy, it just feels like you can't train personality and that kind of stuff.
Yeah. What about you, Troy? Do you have a preference on either of those?
No, I think it has to be a combination because, if you got a person that has great skills that has no personality, that doesn't work.
No.
Especially if they can't get along with your staff.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Your patients, They start getting all huffy with your patients or something like that. That's a challenge. So it's almost like you have to have a blend of personability and also good clinical skills.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's what I'm going through right now. So,
hey, well, let's talk about that for just a second, because you had she was trying to do something really helpful for you, and you kind of felt like it was kind of overkill, right? So, if there are any like future hygienists or assistants or something that listen to the podcast, what would you recommend? Did that like extra mile she's trying to go, did that make you feel like, boy, she's really one I want to hire? Or was it something that annoyed you more than anything?
What are you talking about?
Like when she went in and says, "Hey, there's a purple spot underneath this tongue."
Oh, yeah.
I mean, she kind of, I can see she's trying to be helpful,
yeah.
but on the other hand, you're kind of like, yeah.
Yeah, I guess it's better to be overly thorough than not thorough enough, and I just sometimes I hear them in there and they're asking the patient, "Are you okay? Everything okay? Are you okay? Are you okay?" And sometimes that's a little bit too much. You ask the patient if they're okay, and then move on, and you comfortable? Oh, is everything okay? Is the water warm enough? That's a little too much. So I don't like that, but I like them to have confidence and act like they know what they're doing, and it goes a long way if they, like you said, fit in with the existing staff, because man, nothing drives the morale down in a dental office faster than a staff argument or disagreement or whatever.
Yeah.
And man, it's a killer. And especially as the dentist, you've got to deal with that stuff, and man, that really stinks.
Yep, absolutely.
So, yeah.
Yeah, and you can put yourself in her shoes. She's trying to do the best that she can do to impress you.
Yeah, absolutely.
But on the other hand, sometimes they go overboard and they try and impress you so much that it actually kind of turns you off. You're kind of like, geez, easy, settle down,
Yeah, I think I would say it's best just to be yourself, because if you're trying to fake it and get a job and then you get into this office and it's like, well, now I've got to fake it all the time to fit in or whatever, I don't, that's not good for an employee either. So I think being yourself, and most likely you'll find an office that you really fit with, and that's best for everybody, I think.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of different types of dentists out there. You have like us three who are pretty laid back, pretty relaxed. We're not, like cracking the whip on people. We'll tell you, if you're not doing something we want you to do, but we don't sit and like, look over your shoulder and yell at you all the time. Where I've heard of people who have said, they work for dentists that their heads are blowing off, their instruments are flying across the room, and they're swearing at them in the back. And it's like, I guess you as a staff member need to find the dentist that works for you too. Goes that way. I wouldn't work for a jerk if he's doing that stuff to you.
No, I've heard my wife used to assist for a dentist around here when she just got out of high school, and he would use those plastic mirrors, and he'd like get mad and snap them in half and throw them on the ground in front of the patient and stuff. I'm thinking that can't be good to the patient. That looks,
can you
like
imagine?
an idiot. Yeah, but some of them do that stuff, and yeah, you're right. Some of them really micromanage, and there's a little piece of calculus left. You need to go over 6 more times that area, and like, yeah, I don't think that's good either.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't know. We are pretty laid back. We're pretty awesome.
We are, and that's where I was going with that.
Yeah. That's right. We just like to let people know we're awesome.
Well, Marcus did win the Tom Lauer Award. I mean,
he sure did.
Let us not forget.
Some dentists crack the whip. We just crack the funny jokes.
Yeah.
Yes, I like that.
Yeah, you bet. Well, guys, I guess we have another topic we want to discuss tonight with our listeners. And, when we started this podcast, I guess I'm going to ask you guys, what was your main goal, Marcus, when we started this podcast?
I really thought it would be kind of fun to just, like, talk with you guys about things that we're experiencing or that we've experienced. I think that was part of it, but I think one of the biggest things was just wanting to share some of the experiences that we've had, and hopefully let some of our listeners avoid some of the pitfalls maybe we've fallen into, maybe learn from some of our experiences and mistakes. I think that's one of the big reasons, one of the big things I wanted to see us do as we started this podcast.
Yeah, what about you, Troy?
In the conjunction with what Marcus said, because it's the exact same thing, is just to help set expectations in a particular perspective in dentistry. Because what happened to us, we were kind of in a weird transition, because we were programmed in dental school that things were hunky-dory, that we were coming out, it's the golden ages of dentistry. And we got out and we found out it is not the golden ages of dentistry. We actually missed those times. And our expectations were just destroyed. And so my thought is, if we can get information out to those folks who are going into dentistry, let them be aware of the challenges that are facing dentistry right now, so that when they have those challenges, they don't end up, hating the profession, they don't end up hating their job, or if they're in a position where they maybe decide they're on the fence of whether to go, whether they would decide before they spend $500,000 on their student loans to, go to dentistry if they, find out that, hey, this isn't going to be what I thought it was going to be. So that's one of the main things I think that, and I think we've come across pretty well in our episodes, is that, this is reality. We don't really sugarcoat it. If there's something bad, we say it. If there's something good, we say it. And just set the expectations so you know what you're getting into.
Yeah, I think that was probably all of our goals, because we wanted to help younger dentists, or even older dentists, just dentists that didn't feel like they were in the same position or had the same experiences as other dentists. And we wanted to help the younger dentists kind of get those, get our perspective after 15 years of practice, and we want to just help them along their career path, I think. So tonight we want to announce a program that we're starting to help some of our listeners, and it's called Mentur DDS, MENTU with the umlaut, TU with the umlauts, R, DDS, and it's to help our listeners if they so choose to participate in this program. So what it's going to be, it's going to give our listeners more opportunity to interact with us on more of a personal level, because we do this podcast and we cover a lot of general topics, and we hope that we're covering some specific scenarios that other young dentists are finding themselves in. But it's tough to tailor make a podcast to every dentist or dental student. And so this program is something that's going to allow you to have more interaction with us off the air, and you can contact us by email. We're going to do some phone calls with some of our hopefully soon-to-be clients. And I don't know, guys, is this something that you think would have helped you coming out of dental school?
I absolutely do. I mean, I did a startup practice, and a lot of stuff that I was doing was just I was just hoping I was doing it right. I was hoping I was setting things up right. I was hoping I was making good decisions, and sometimes I was and sometimes I wasn't. And I think it would have been really helpful if I had somebody I knew I could turn to who was going to give me honest, straightforward advice. Ultimately, the decisions were on my shoulders regardless of who I was talking to, but I think it would have been something really helpful for me.
Yeah, I think so too. And you talk about doing a startup practice, and a lot of the advice, I think, when you do those comes from the salespeople. Is that true? I mean, is that a true statement?
Yeah, I mean that's one of the main people I turned to, and I think the guy I turned to was really pretty upfront and honest with me in his advice.
Yeah.
But he also was a salesman. He yes, he was involved in the industry, but he wasn't giving me advice from an insider's perspective, somebody who's actually in there doing dentistry day in and day out. He'd never been a dentist. He's not a dentist, and so some of the things he would point out or suggestions he might give me, probably swayed a little bit by him being a salesman.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. So, Troy, do you think having somebody that you could contact, when you were right out of dental school, that you needed to have, more, like Marcus said, an honest opinion on your situation, would that have helped you right out of dental school, or even in the years after you got out of dental school?
Yeah, I believe specifically the maybe before dental school, or not before, but during dental school, for decisions on what to do when I get out. That would have been helpful. I mean, I kind of knew, my options and things like that. I didn't really know the pros and cons. The challenges that I found, and you guys, as we've talked, even in our podcast, is that, you really don't know what it's like being a dentist. Even though you're a dental student in dental school, you have no idea what it's like to be a dentist. And until you get out and do it, you're clueless. You don't know, how the patients are going to react to you, everything day to day, all this stuff in, your business decisions and all this stuff. that, you have no idea what you're doing when you get out of dental school. And if you have somebody to talk to, which has been helpful for us three, because, we've had a good rapport, and now we've got each, 15 years under our belt. So we've got a lot of experience that way in multiple different scenarios, group practice and corporate dentistry and owning practices, solo practice, associateships. All of us have done that stuff. So, that in and of itself would be some good insight, for people who are going through those things, to be able to, pick our brain. We can maybe help them out. One thing, like you brought up a little bit, was the fact that, your salesmen aren't dentists. And that is true. We have gone through, consultants, and they do a great job. They really do. I'm not gonna say anything bad about them. The only difference is they are consultants. They are not dentists. I've never had a dentist consultant, and so they give you a little bit of a skewed perspective, because they're not the ones that have to sit down and do the filling, the distal buckle on number 2. Or, those kind of things that, they're kind of going, oh, yeah, you got to do this. You got to do the go, kind of being a cheerleader for you. But they don't understand that, when little Miss Jones can't lean back, and she's got this huge tongue, and she's got saliva everywhere, how are you going to do a composite on the distal buckle of number 2, and make it so easy? So, having a dentist perspective and knowing what it's like to be in a dentist situation is very helpful. Because, quite frankly, we all had to learn the hard road, and, thank goodness we have dentists out there that, like us, hopefully, that are, willing to help give information to folks.
Yeah, so a few things that I thought about while you were talking, Troy, is that, yeah, you're right. Whenever I've worked with consultants, it definitely helped my practice by getting some systems in place, but a lot of times they're recommending, anytime you see a big amalgam, you should recommend doing a crown on that. It's like, and as a dentist, you might understand, like, yeah, I get it. There's sometimes, that something, should probably have a crown on it, but that, this patient, like you said, the mouth isn't going to open big enough, or that tooth, is too difficult to access back there, something like that, and the consultants see it as black and white, do it or don't do it, but you really should do it. And we see it as there's more gray areas, and we can understand that a little bit better. The other thing I was thinking is that when we were in dental school, and you mentioned this off the air, Troy, that we didn't know what questions to ask other dentists in dental school, whether it was the professors or some of the mentors that they had set up at school. We didn't know what to ask because we'd never been in those situations before to ask those right questions. And so now that you get out of dental school, and there's not a lot of opportunity to ask other dentist stuff. At least with me, I worked in the office of some great dentists, but they didn't want to be hanging around after hours talking to me about stuff. They had other stuff to do, and sometimes I felt like a nuisance to them just to ask them questions. So this program makes it so other dentists can ask us questions. They don't have to ask dentists in their area. They can ask us, and in confidence that we're going to try to help them out.
And we'll be honest.
It
may not always be what you want to hear, but we'll let you know, at least some different perspectives to think about when you're going into certain situations, because a lot of people, like Marcus, if you go back to, your salesman, they're definitely going to push you. Yeah, you need CAD CAM. You have to have it in your office. You have to be cutting edge. And you may get different advice from us depending on your situation. You may get the, the office that it would be beneficial for, but, you may not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So those
if you're
totally
doing
different scenarios depending on where you're practicing, what your patient base is like, your demographic. There's so many other things to look at rather than just having a salesman sit there and go, hey, you really need this to set you apart from everybody else and all this stuff. Well, yeah.
Yeah, we're going to be here to give you some honest advice, and yeah, sometimes it might not be what you want to hear, because sometimes you see that shiny piece of equipment, you really want to buy it, but sometimes you shouldn't buy it. And if you're doing 5 crowns a month, well, it doesn't make any sense to buy a CAD CAM machine. Right. But a salesman will tell you that you'll start doing 20 crowns a month if you buy one, and
just buy it.
Yeah,
if you just buy it, they'll magically appear.
And your patients open their mouth and they just say, "I would like a crown." It's amazing.
It happens.
It's amazing. I don't know. It's a miracle.
It's true. That's what a lot of them do. And so, we see a lot of the way dentistry is shifting. We have seen how it's changed since we got out of school, and we can predict somewhat how it's going to change in the future. And our listeners are awesome with a lot of the emails they send in asking us questions. But we want to be able to help tailor these questions to a more personal situation, either on a phone call or with some emails directly to you, things like that. So, I'm excited, guys, because I feel like this is more of a way to get in touch with our listeners and really help them out. And I feel like it's a unique way that other, I don't know, we're not calling ourselves consultants, but they just don't have the knowledge and experience that we have. And it's not being arrogant about it. It's just the facts that we are actually dentists, and we're here to help other dentists.
And more of a mentor program, not a consultant type thing, I guess.
Right. We're here to advise you and help you out. And, we're not going to put systems in place in your office or anything like that. But, I remember one time early on that I had, I can't remember if she was an assistant or a hygienist. And I can remember a couple of different situations that I think I had been talking to Marcus one day about something, maybe after work or something like that. And he's like, yeah, you've got to fire her because, I explained the situation. She's so terrible. She does this and this, but I wanted to believe that things would get better. And Marcus said, you got to let her go. And it's like, suck. I don't want to have to fire anybody. But right after I did that, it made things better in the office. Their office morale went up. And without somebody telling me to do that and getting like an outsider's perspective, I don't know if I would have been, had the guts to do that. And it was clearly the right thing to do. But, we've been through these situations before, and we can help give advice to other dentists and dental students. And we're here to help dental students too. It's not just dentists. So, we're just all around nice guys willing to help.
Well, that's why we made the podcast. We're not.
Yeah.
We just want people to know what it's really like. Because how many misconceptions are there out there that we've got it made, and that there's no stress involved in dentistry. You only work 4 days a week and all that, and we found out that it isn't like that.
Yeah.
Things are changing. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And if we can help younger dentists get off on the right foot, and avoid some mistakes that we've made, and avoid signing up for we'll get you 50 new patients every month, programs like that they just don't work. And
Yep.
And we're going to keep doing the podcast too. The podcast isn't going anywhere.
Yeah, the podcast is still going to be here. We're still going to cover topics that I think will interest pretty much all of our listeners. We want you to email us with your questions. We often, will reference an email that we got and talk about that in our podcast. We're going to continue to do that. We just want to make it possible for those listeners who want something a little more personal and a little more directed to them, who want to be able to reach out to us as often as they want over the course of time. We want this to be for them. And we think it's a unique opportunity and a unique way for us to work with you individually.
Yeah, and Troy and I will always be on the podcast. Marcus will be here as often as he decides to push the record button.
Yes.
For
some reason, he's had a hard time doing that. I mean, we're trying to teach him.
Right
he is teachable.
At my computer, and it's recording. I promise.
We've hired a monkey to sit next to him and push the record button because he just couldn't do it himself.
Oh. If we'd go back to cassette tapes, it would be a lot more predictable.
There you go.
Oh my gosh. Cassette. Yeah, a lot of our listeners probably have never even listened to a cassette tape.
Probably don't even know what a cassette tape is.
No, I had some in my basement, and one of my kids found one, and they're like, "What's this, Dad?" Like he had this disgusted look on his face, like.
Why do we have this in our room?
What is this?
That's the 1980s Spotify.
Oh man.
Yeah. Is it?
So, we want our listeners that are interested in this program to email us at dentalrealist@gmail.com, and we're going to offer some discounts for the first 10 clients that sign up. So you can email us. We'll give you all the information about fees and more specifically about what you can expect with the program and any questions you want to ask us about this. And it's not going to, the fees are not going to be outrageous or anything like that. And we want to keep it reasonable. We just, we want to help out. And so, for the first 10, we're going to give a discount to, and then we're happy to, sign up as many people. Well, no, I shouldn't say that, guys, because we talked about this. We're not going to sign up as many people as we can. We're going to sign up a select number of people because we don't want to spread ourselves too thin. We still have practices to run, but we want to be able to help people out.
Right. And we want to be able to, really focus on the ones who sign up, and we're not going to, there's only 3 of us. There's only so much time in a day when we're practicing dentistry and we're living life. But to those few that we work with, we're committed to respond to you, to work with you, to communicate with you, and answer your questions and give you all the help that we can. Yeah.
I think that's a good way to put it. Yeah, whoever, with these emails or phone calls, we're all going to participate in, and we're all going to give you our perspectives and try to de-stress your dental careers, because I know, guys, when I was, just out of dental school, and even now, I feel like I could use some of this help sometimes, because sometimes it just helps to have somebody to talk to. Like, there's days when, we talk about it. We've had like a quad of fillings, and it's just like a nightmare to do them, or we couldn't get a crown to seat right, or, whatever. And sometimes it's nice just to talk to another dentist and have them say, yeah, I've been there. It's okay, and it'll work out, and it'll be there tomorrow. But sometimes it feels like it's the absolute end of the world when something doesn't go right during the day.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep,
so
that happens.
It happens. It happens a lot. So I don't know, guys. What else do you want to throw in there?
Just how they can contact us, maybe.
Okay. Marcus, why don't you repeat how they can contact us in that sweet baritone of yours?
Yes, you can send us a personalized letter written on stationery.
Oh, brother.
If you want to reach us, we can be found on Twitter at Dental Realist. You can send us an email, dentalrealist@gmail.com. You can find us on Facebook. We have our Facebook page. We've also got a couple of great books. One is So You Want to Be a Dentist, available in print and electronically. And you can also find our second book, So Now You're a Dentist, which is also available electronically. 2 great reads. We really look forward to hearing from our listeners, and we want your feedback. We want to hear your questions, and we're really excited about this new opportunity that we're offering on kind of a limited basis, and we'd love to hear from you and answer any questions you have about that.
Yeah. Troy, do you have any other words of wisdom to add tonight?
It's really hard to follow Marcus because the wisdom from him is just unbelievable. But I just say, yep. Put a little exclamation point after Marcus's comments.
You bet. Yeah. I'm really excited about this. I don't get excited about much. You guys know me. I'm pretty even keel. So I'm excited about this. I'm excited to have some more personalized interaction with our listeners and see who we can help. So email us and get in touch with us, and we'd love to answer any questions you might have. So, and we will be back on episode 33, apparently the Larry Bird issue, or Larry Bird episode.
Oh, was this the Carl Malone one, since it's 32, I suppose?
Yeah, but I think the next one will probably be the Kareem Abdul-Jabbar one. A true NBA champion. We'll go from the second all-time leading scorer in Karl Malone to the all-time leading scorer in Kareem. How about that?
Brother. Oh, boy. Here you go. I got my 2 words. Who cares?
Who cares? All right, we'll wrap it up.
All right.
We appreciate you listening. Get in touch with us. And this has been episode 32 of the Dental Realist Podcast. Thanks.